You know what this Sunday is?
Super Bowl 50.
Super Bowl 50. The gold era. You know, we started coverage today. Well, I shouldn't say we. I wish it was us. Uh, coverage started today. They consider it the opening curtain of the Super Bowl, aka Media Day. So we're gonna be talking a lot about coverage of the Super Bowl, and we made our predictions throughout the season, everything. We have been making our predictions week every week during the playoffs. My final stat sheet, I was 7 for 10, and I believe you were 5 for 10. Correct? Were you six? All right. So I was one above you in it, and so we're gonna make our final, prediction to see we could potentially tie, or I'll just get in a further lead ahead. Or I guess I would say about the same if we pick for the same team because we have not talked about this yet amongst each other of who we're picking. And I figured, you know what, instead of just saying this is who I pick, this is who you pick, and everything, let's break down these teams a little bit before because it might help a little bit settling of why we're making these predictions or why we want to go because I don't know about you, by the way, this was the hardest pick for me to make all playoffs. The absolute hardest. I mean, we talked about it in the other videos where I'm like, yeah, this team, even if I was right or wrong. And sometimes I made last minute, decisions. Just kind of be like, you know what, I think this team might be better, but I still think this team is gonna pull on top and everything. I did that with the Broncos and the Patriots. At the time, I thought the Patriots were a better team. Obviously, I'm glad I picked the Broncos, but ultimately, I could not wrap my head around who to pick between Broncos and Carolina. I don't know if you had the same problem or or if this is just me just going crazy
So
over
let's
it or
talk
what.
about why. Alright, defense. Denver defense. I'm going to talk about Denver defense first. I've never seen that much pressure on Tom Brady for that long.
No,
Like,
ever.
it was really impressive what they did. And that's even with the knowledge that the Panthers in the game after that went and blew out the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
As far as defenses go, I think that the front seven that Denver has, in particular, is second to none. They have the best pass rush. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen pass rush that good. Honestly, that was it was flat out amazing to watch in the championship game. I mean, that this all that said, Carolina's defense is like probably the best in FCG. It was either between them and Arizona until it happened.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
I mean, some of that's on the offense. We'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, Carolina might have the better secondary. They have a pretty good linebacker core themselves. I mean, Josh Norman is, though, in particular, one of the best corners in the league. Shut down corner.
yeah.
It's going to be interesting to watch and see how the Broncos offense deals with that. Because let's face it, they're the worst of the two offenses. We can argue, semantics here. Whose defense is better in this, up front, in the back, whatever. Both defenses are really good at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Maybe slightly better at different things, but they're both really good. Um, Offensive wise, obviously, the Panthers have an offense. I don't know if we've seen similar offenses with rushing quarterbacks that can pass. I don't know if we've ever seen one quite like this. Where you have almost like a fullback that's running at quarterback, and then you have a good running back. They don't have the best receiver core, but I mean they have Greg Olson. I mean, imagine if they had Benjamin
yeah.
and
I thought
didn't
the
get
same
hurt.
thing. You know, I kept hating the argument. I know this is gonna sound shitty for me to pull it back this way, but with the Green Bay Packers this year, I heard a lot of at least Packer fans here in Wisconsin going like, "Oh, well, this wouldn't happen if Jordy Nelson wasn't hurt and we just missing Jordy." I'm like, really? Because the Panthers are missing their star wide receiver, and they went 15-1 in the regular season, and now they're in the Super Bowl. So obviously, you're losing. As much as I also hated Jordan being out, that's not a make or break deal for an entire offense to have.
Right. I mean, and and at least on paper, the Panthers had more of a wasteland at wide receiver than Packers did.
Yeah.
But here they are, and part of that's because of the rushing ability of Cam Newton, which is almost an X factor because you never know. I'm really curious to see after I just talked about that front seven from Denver. I'm really curious to see how they're going to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Um, the only factor we haven't really talked about Broncos offense. Peyton Manning. Basically, I honestly, if the Broncos win this game, it's probably going to be a low scoring game. And Peyton Manning basically just needs to play. If he plays like he's been playing in the playoffs, they can win. Just don't turn the ball over. Get a few touchdowns. The defense, if the defense succeeds at doing what they do, and they can keep the Panthers offense from getting in the end zone at least, then the Broncos have a real shot as long as there's no turnovers. So I mean, the biggest question here, I think, of everything is how is the Broncos offense going to look against, I mean, against the defense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How is Manning going to look? How is Tillman going to look? There's so many factors in it. It's why the Panthers are the favorite. Put it bluntly, going into this game.
So with
Which is
all
funny.
of
It's
these,
crazy, just because of Peyton Manning having, this is probably his last game.
you know what's most insane? Carolina were considered the underdogs almost all season, up until probably like week 12, whatever week it was that they're the last remaining undefeated team in the season. They're constantly the underdogs. They're the worst 4-0 team in the NFL. They're the weakest 8-0 team in the NFL. They're the worst 10-0 team in the NFL. Then suddenly they're the best team in the NFL with an MVP candidate.
Here we are, though.
Yeah. And now, despite being, these underdogs all season, you get all the way to the Super Bowl and you're the favorite suddenly. It's weird how that worked out for them. Or not even worked out, but it's just weird how the media portrayed it that way.
Right. And Denver really hasn't been getting a lot of respect. I mean, they weren't getting respect against the Patriots,
Yeah.
and now they're not really getting respect against the Panthers. And everyone keeps talking about Peyton Manning this, Peyton Manning that. Well, also, here they are. These are really two teams that were number one seeds. That are probably the least, at least until the very end, the Panthers started getting really hyped. And, I mean, but maybe the two least hyped number one seeds I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, to be fair, the Broncos lose that game and they're potentially a five seed. The AFC was really close this year. It was really close. I don't ever remember it being that close.
Right.
You could go from a one seed to a five seed in one game,
Yeah.
and it'd be the last game. But no, this is at the end of the day, this is two number one seeds that got there, and I'm gonna let you take it from here on your predictions.
Oh, well, do you want to say your prediction now, or do you want me to wait until I say my piece and then we make it at the very end together?
Yeah, go ahead and say your piece.
Okay.
What do you
So I've been wrapping my head around this a lot.
Okay.
And you mentioned defense first, so I will get into defense as well. Denver's defense is going to go down in history as the best defense out of the 2010 decade. By far. Yeah, which is, what's crazy about that is because as of right now, the Seahawks have that reigning title, and that was especially destroying Denver at the Super Bowl with their defense. And now you go only 2 years later, and Denver realize how bad they got their asses kicked and decide that's what we need. And then they put up a defense to be even stronger and better than what the Seahawks had. We're talking a defense that is comparable to the 2000 Ravens. We're talking a defense that is comparable to the 1985 Bears. We're talking a defense that is going to stop everything in its tracks. We're talking about a defense that, as you already mentioned, has put Tom Brady on his ass 23 times in a playoff game. It's insane. Tom Brady has the single best postseason record, or like, just records, like, of playability out of any quarterback, and they knocked him on his ass so many times. They killed him. They destroyed him out there. They completely destroyed him. We're talking about a defense that on average allows about 17 points a game. We're talking about a defense that has just loaded players everywhere, and you already said it best. Their front seven is beyond anything that I've ever seen before. The only thing that I'm concerned about is during the regular season, they have not played against the Carolina Panthers, and they do not know how to play against Cam Newton. They know how to destroy, Ben Roethlisberger when they do, which, by the way, that was a close game. Steelers actually had a great shot of winning that game, but it wasn't enough. They did a great job destroying Tom Brady, but again, that was a close game. Patriots almost sent that into overtime. Whatever happens in overtime, I don't know. But they almost had a chance of sending that into overtime. Or even if they would have gotten that 2-point conversion, getting the onside kick and winning a field goal. It was damn close. They know how to beat Tom Brady. But do they know how to play against Cam Newton? I don't know. Because they can't use the same defensive strategy that they use against Tom Brady against Cam Newton. You know why? Because Cam Newton's going to run all over him. All over him.
You were talking about him putting Brady on his ass. I'm like, well, Cam Newton can run, though.
Yeah, Cam Newton can run. I would not be surprised if Cam Newton puts 150 yards rushing in the Super Bowl. I would not be surprised at all. And that's against a good defensive strategy, too. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, if you're going to go on the offensive side of the Broncos, Peyton Manning hasn't been playing the best. Postseason-wise, though, he's been playing pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. Pretty damn good. But by pretty damn good standards, we're not talking 2 years ago in the Super Bowl pretty damn good. That was pretty damn good Peyton Manning. By pretty damn good, I'm saying this is the best you've probably seen him all this season, which isn't saying a whole lot. Now, as weak as the Broncos' offense is, Carolina's defense is, holy shit, pretty damn strong. I still say Denver's defense is way better. Denver's defense is better than Carolina's defense. But Carolina's defense is good enough that I think they are going to destroy Peyton Manning. I don't think Peyton Manning is going to do anything against, against Carolina's defense. And they might as well put Demaryius Thomas in the slot, because if he's getting covered by Josh Norman, he ain't doing shit the entire game. I'll tell you that right now. Demaryius Thomas is not going to get a single catch if Josh Norman is covering him. So you might as well put him in the slot right away, because everybody knows that Josh Norman doesn't go in the slot. Everybody knows that. They're not going to be able to run it. Just flat out. C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman, they're solid running backs, but they're not good enough running backs that is going to be able to run all over Carolina's defense. They're not going to be able to do it. I think Carolina's defense is going to be able to shut down their offense. So now you got an extremely defensive game, because I think the Denver's defense will be able to shut down Carolina's offense. Ultimately, there's a few things that will come into it of how I'm going to make my pick. Number one, historically, Denver is the worst in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
The absolute worst. Historically, Peyton Manning is pretty bad in Super Bowls.
They wear white.
historically.
They wear white jerseys. Fix that.
Oh, that's why they're white
Yeah, they're like
jerseys.
0-4 or something like that in orange jerseys.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Besides John Elway, Denver is not good in Super Bowls at all. I mean,
shit, and he lost three of them.
yeah. I mean, the only other team that's probably worse than them are the Bills because they didn't even win. But otherwise, Carolina, in a small way, as much as I'm glad that the Patriots aren't in yet another Super Bowl, I kind of almost wish that the Patriots would have won that game in the AFC Championship because if this were the Patriots and Carolina, this would have been the easiest blowout ever of Carolina completely getting revenge from 2003 and just completely destroying the Patriots because I know their defense. Look at what Broncos defense did against the Patriots. Carolina's defense would have ate them alive. Here's the biggest thing. As much as I said before, yes, the Broncos struggled against the Steelers because Steelers are a damn good team, but they struggled. And the Steelers are a good, respectable, damn good team. They struggled against the Patriots because the Patriots are a damn good team. But look at what Carolina did in the postseason. They played against the Seahawks and walked all over them. Yeah, I know that the Seahawks came back with 24 unanswered points, but when you have 24 unanswered points and you still lose a game, that just shows how well that they did in the first half. They walked all over them and they coasted the rest of that game. They destroyed Arizona, which a lot of people were picking Arizona to beat Carolina that game, and they destroyed them. Carolina hasn't even gotten a threat yet. Carolina hasn't even played a worthy opponent in the postseason yet, and they're in the Super Bowl. The only worthy opponent they're going to have is I am very curious to see what Carolina is going to do against one of the best defenses in the entire decade. My prediction. I mean, I know there's still 5 years left, but I think Denver has the best defense that we're going to see this entire decade. And I'm extremely curious to see what Carolina will do against it because I think Carolina is the most well rounded team in the entire NFL. They have a great offense. They have a great defense. They have a great special teams. They have great running capabilities. The only thing they're lacking is wide receivers. And even their wide receivers can get the job done, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Realistically. So if
So
you
who
want
do you
to,
got?
who do I pick to win this
Uh,
game? It was a very hard decision. Very, very hard. And I think, before I even say that, I think this is going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a long time. I mean, last year's Super Bowl was pretty damn good. And we've seen some pretty good Super Bowls. The Har Bowl or Blackout Bowl, whichever way. That was a good Super.
personal favorite.
You started off this decade with Packers winning the Super Bowl. That was probably my personal favorite, obviously. We had some pretty good Super Bowls so far, but I think this one's going to be phenomenal. I think this was going to be running down to the wire. This could be a Super Bowl that comes down to the very last play of the entire game with maybe 2 seconds left on the clock or what have you. But I think Carolina will be Super Bowl 50 champions.
Okay.
And the reason why is because as great as the Denver's defense is, a defense can't hold up and shut out a team, especially a team like the Carolina Panthers for 4 quarters. And eventually, that Carolina is going to find a way to break down that defense. They're going to find a way to be able to drive down the field, whether it's fast or whether it's slow or whatever it is. They're going to find a way to reach the end zone. And that's the important thing. They're going to get in the end zone. And I think that Carolina's defense is good enough that they'll stop Peyton Manning from outscoring them.
You know what? I'm largely inclined to agree with most of what you said, but considering I'm one game behind you in particular,
So
I'm gonna
you
roll
have
with
to
the
bet
sheriff,
big to win big.
so I at least have a shot at even tying you in this. I'm rolling with the sheriff, and hey, you're saying the Denver Broncos defense is supposedly one of these legendary defenses.
Hmm.
Well, if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're not.
And
So
I was gonna mention that too because their defense is on that caliber, and guess what? Defenses win championships. They truly do. But if they don't win the Super Bowl, that caliber is no longer existent. They're no longer the 2000 Ravens. They're no longer the 85 Bears. They're no longer the 70 Steelers. They're no longer the Iron Curtain. That's no longer there. But if they do win the Super Bowl, the no-fly zone is going to be one of the top defenses in the entire NFL history. And so you are picking Broncos officially.
I'm going to pick the Broncos, and I mean, if you think they haven't been preparing for Cam Newton, try to shut him down, we're going to see something from Denver we haven't seen all season. That's what I think. And if we don't, they're going to lose.
Mm.
But they've got to have something up their sleeves that we haven't seen all season that they're going to use on Cam Newton because I mean, shit, it's the Super Bowl. What are you holding out for?
Yeah, there's nothing else to hold out for. And that's why usually the Super Bowl is the greatest game of the entire, usually. Uh, I will say this. Even though I'm picking Carolina, that's not me trying to say anything bad about Denver, and I think that's why I'm almost most excited about the Super Bowl is because whoever wins in the outcome, I'm gonna be happy about it. I'm not gonna be personally disappointed by whoever's winning because if the sheriff goes out on top, of course I'm going to be happy for Peyton. Of course I'm going to be super happy because that's the best. He's going to pull a John Elway, all over again. Like it's going to happen again. So for Denver fans, that's going to be a phenomenal feature. But if Carolina wins, I mean, there's nothing that says that Carolina didn't deserve it. You're gonna go 17-1, and not win a Super Bowl. I mean, they got everything going for them the correct way, and I know there's a lot of talk in the media right now about Cam Newton, but what's a better way to shut everybody up than to winning the whole damn Super Bowl?
Right.
You know?
Both teams are going to be, I mean, obviously, always, but like, I feel like it's maybe a little bit even extra this year. Both teams are super motivated for this game.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think both teams are super deserving to win it. And for completely different reasons, but I definitely think they both deserve a ring. And I picked Carolina, but hell, I mean, let's just be realistic. This probably is Peyton's last year, or as he said, his last rodeo.
Right.
It'd be great to see him go out as a champ. It really would, and I would love to see him go out as a champ. I just still think Carolina will win though.
Hey, I mean, that's why I picked the Patriots last round. So. But hopefully, we'll have the underdog pull this off.
Right.
That's what I'm pulling for. That's what I'm hoping for. I will. I don't hate the Panthers, but division rival. So yeah, I guess that's about what we think on this, huh?
It is. So make sure you let us know. Leave us a comment, whether on here, you can go on our Twitter, you can go on our Facebook, you can leave us a comment. What is your Super Bowl prediction? Because I mean, we pretty much laid out all the ground to go off of. I mean, there might be bits and pieces here and there, but this is basically the grand outlook of everything from both teams. And if you want to form an opinion on any of that, really, I mean, let us know. I would love to hear from all of your comments. I love to compare. If there's any more stuff that you want to add to either side, let us know as well. And then, otherwise this week, for fun, we have our end of the year assessment for our top, 10 players, positions, and everything. So you can always watch those videos too. If you're like us, just sitting here twiddling your thumbs waiting for Sunday to happen, you can watch our videos because we're going to have one every day. There you go. Boom. I got you set up for Sunday. Then you can get your nachos, get your guacamole, you buy your beer, and you're good to go.
Get some of that Super Bowl 50 Bud Light. That's what I'm gonna be drinking.
I'll probably still have my Red Dog, to be honest.
And we'll do a recap video. I know the season's been in, but I think we got at least one more in us on the regular season here.
Yeah.
Just go around, and it's been fun either way.
I had a,
Experience.
yeah, I mean, this is like we're saying final goodbyes and shit, but,
Oh,
realistically,
kind of the end of our season too.
kind of, I mean, but I had a really good time doing this with you. I'm glad we stuck with it. I mean, I know there's difficulties that happen, technical difficulties, and I don't know, but ultimately, you and I had a lot of fun doing this and just talking on our ass, and some people hopefully enjoyed it, but I at least enjoyed doing it, so that's what's important, right?
And I'm looking forward to this game, and then after that, I guess we'll be looking to the draft. So
True,
yeah,
true. Mm.
we got a little bit of content coming out for the off season, a little bit planned, a little bit different stuff.
A little bit.
But in the meantime, enjoy the Super Bowl, folks.
Yeah, yeah.
Super Sunday.
Super Sunday.
That's my day.
It's claimed to be the unofficial holiday, the biggest unofficial holiday.
Birthday.
What?
My fucking birthday, bro.
On Super Bowl Sunday?
Hangover Monday.
Oh, I thought I knew your birthday was right because okay, so you especially you have Super Bowl Sunday, you have your birthday Monday, and then you got Fat Tuesday for Mardi Gras right in a row.
Might not be able to record for a couple months. Alright, y'all.
And you got the
I think that's
luckiest.
it.
Yeah, you truly got
Like,
the luckiest
comment,
birthday.
subscribe.
Subscribe. Mark your calendars for Zach's birthday. Make sure to wish him a happy birthday on Monday.
I'll
He's 18 years old. I've been catfishing you the whole time.
I ripped my face off. I'm actually a chicken in a man suit. Alright.
Alright, this is getting ridiculous now. Yeah. Hey, leave us a comment. Boom. Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I